Well, good evening and welcome to our celebration of our amazing, outstanding Alumni Award winners. I'm Adrian Aldrich, proud member of the class of 2002 and Assistant Vice President for Institutional Advancement, and I'm thrilled to be with all of you tonight. Many of you are here in person, obviously. We do have a couple who will be joining us via Zoom, and you'll see them in a few minutes, but I just wanted to say thank you all for being here with us tonight. We'd like to begin the evening with an invocation from our campus chaplain, Reverend Eric Doolittle, who is an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church. Chaplain Doolittle?
It's always interesting to see, do we clap for the prayer? I don't know. It's okay. It's good to be here with everyone tonight, and I'm so glad to greet you in this space and to see so many folks meeting for the first time and gathering after such a long pause. And so as I greet you tonight and as I offer this prayer, I always like to remind us that we are a diverse community. And while I will be praying from our roots in our United Methodist tradition in the Christian church, I hope that the words that I am sharing can connect with you no matter what your faith journey may be. And so with that, would you please join me in an attitude of prayer and reflection? Loving God, you gather us as your children, ever welcoming us into your infinite grace. You reveal truth to us each day through our relationship with you, through the observation of the intricacies of the universe, through the love of our families and friends, through the voices of prophets of justice, ancient and modern, and through the nurturing we receive through our generous mother, our alma mater, North Central College. We gather to honor special members of our family who have accomplished so much with their gifts and talents. May the witness of their lives inspire all of us to not just do better in our lives, but to do good too. We gather to celebrate our Cardinal family at this capstone event of a weekend full of special occasions. May these memories, both joyful and bittersweet, linger in our hearts and bring us closer as the years pass. Finally, as we break bread together, bless all the hands that brought this food from the earth to our plates. May we be nourished not just by this food, but in the sharing of our meal with our North Central College family. We gather our thankfulness to you, O God. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Chaplain Doolittle. This is great, isn't it, to have a time to reconnect, and I'm very happy to have all of you here. Tonight's winners represent the very best of North Central College and our mission. We are so grateful to have everyone here this evening. I'm sorry that Michelle Maves Delgenio, Bob Cohane, Lori Spiegel, and John Stoltz aren't able to join us in person, but nonetheless, we're trying really hard to get Bob and Lori piped in via technology. So, hi, Bob and Lori. Hopefully you can hear us. We look forward to seeing Michelle and John on campus again sometime soon. But all of you, all of our Alumni Award winners, are shining examples of what our graduates do after leaving campus. We're here to honor your hard work, your incredible commitment, and your dedication to making the world a better place. We are proud to call you members of our North Central family, and we are grateful for all of the ways in which you enrich our community, from your examples of personal achievement, your selfless service, your financial generosity, and the inspiration that you are to all of us. Now let me give you a little bit about what to expect this evening. Our program will begin with a few remarks from Dr. Troy Hammond, 10th president of the college. Following those remarks, we'll present tonight's awards, which means I'll briefly introduce each honoree before we present them with the award. But I encourage you to read more about each of our honorees in the programs that are available at your table. And then a little later, we'll watch video presentations that will help tell the story of why we're recognizing these 13 outstanding members of our alumni family. And then, of course, we'll enjoy a meal together in each other's company. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Troy Hammond, president of the college.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here, and I want to welcome you. Many of you are coming back to the campus for the first time in a long time for this event this evening. We're thrilled that you're here, and I just want to start by saying congratulations to the honorees tonight. We're just so thrilled to be able to celebrate with you. I want to take a few minutes just to back up and give you a high-level overview of some exciting things that are going on at your alma mater. And I see a few faces that were with me at the 50-year club dinner last night, and so there'll be a little bit of overlap. Just bear with me, but I'm sure you will. Our vision and mission as an institution, very important. I'm not going to go into the details tonight about where all that came from, but I want to share with you that 2 or 3 years ago, we took a step back through a sort of a branding process, a market analysis or market research process, to really see how the community views North Central College, how our alums reflect on North Central College, the words that they use, the impact that it had on their life, how the community sees us, how our current students, faculty, and staff view this institution. And we pulled all of that research together into a new marketing and branding campaign that we're working on. But I want to share those words with you because I really feel they capture the essence of North Central College today. And the overarching theme that we arrived at is that we help students exceed their personal best. Exceed their personal best, meaning they come here and they have some concept of what they're capable of what they could possibly achieve, intellectually, relationally, socially, civically. They have some concept of what that is. And through a North Central College experience, we help them exceed and go beyond even what they imagined. And the way that we do that is we came up with three steps, and it really captures the essence of it. The first thing is we elevate their confidence. Think about when you came as a student here, when you were a first-year student, and compare that to when you left this place. The elevated confidence in yourself that you had, in your capabilities, your achievements, your intellectual capacity, the opportunities that you saw in front of you, you left with elevated confidence in yourself. We elevate that confidence in our students through inspired instruction. Faculty and staff that work here because their mission, their personal vocation is to teach, to coach, to mentor, to pour themselves out into their students. Inspired instruction. We elevate their confidence through inspired instruction to realize direction in life. To realize their direction in life so that when they leave, they have a sense of direction, of where they want to head, of where they want to begin building their life after they leave North Central College. We help them exceed their personal best through elevated confidence that comes from inspired instruction and helps them realize direction in life. And so I'm not going to go into the details like I did last night with the 50-year club about our vision and mission, which are really important, and the details were they don't fit on a billboard very well. A lot of the words that I just shared with you, though, fit a lot better on social media and billboards and print and media and everything else. So that is kind of the brand, if you will, of North Central College. With that, then, well, how are we doing? Your alma mater is doing very, very well in many different scales, many different metrics. There's the public view of the institution, the fact that as a regional university in the Midwest, we're consistently ranked in the top 20, sometimes the top 10 of all of the regional universities in the Midwest. We're proud of that, but that's just a magazine crunching a lot of data. Obviously, it's nice because it might bring us onto the radar screen of some students, but that's not obviously what cuts to the core of who we are. We've been investing heavily in our faculty, in our staff, in our campus. We have added quite a few majors over the last few years in areas that are incredibly relevant to today, in health science, a new major in nutrition. We've started an engineering program that's thriving, offering computer, electrical, and mechanical engineering. We've added graduate programs, many in the health sciences, and if you've had a chance to walk around campus, you've seen the brand new, this was the brand new building. It's not actually, this is the old building now, you know. It's been around 4 years already, more hard to imagine. The brand new building on Chicago Avenue supporting our graduate health sciences and our engineering program. So a lot of progress in those academic programs and areas. We, as some of our alums here today, are from Shimer, and the integration of the Shimer Great Book School into North Central College is thriving with the support of very generous graduates of Shimer College, for which we're very thankful, including the Davis estate that came to us to support the Shimer Great Books program this year, a $4 million estate. And that's helped us do things. We're adding a new staff member this year for recruiting and program management in the Shimer area. And I'll also say that so we're here on Loomis Street, just up toward the White Activities Center. The house that's directly across from the White Activities Center is going to be the new home of the Shimer Great Book School. There'll be room for the faculty there and common area space. And if Shimer is anything, it's a group that will totally shock and surprise me as to how they utilize that space. I can't quite imagine what that's going to turn into, but I'm excited to see it. Further north on the campus, Osterley Library is getting ready to undergo a major renovation over the course of this next year. We hope to break ground in the next month, have it done by next August, so that it's serving not only as a library with book resources, but a true learning commons, a true center for student success, where academic advising is located, students' support services, the writing center, the testing center, a number of functions will consolidate into the library to really be a locus of activity for our students, which it's become less of over in recent years. So we're excited about that. So there's a lot of changes that come to, it's about investing, not just facilities, again, in our academic programs, investing in our faculty and staff so that we can fulfill that mission for our students to the best of our ability. So we're excited about those things that are happening on the campus. And many of you, if you read any of the news, you know there are a lot of challenges for higher education. There are a lot of headwinds. There are demographic headwinds. Those of you who don't know, in the Midwest, just the number of students graduating high school and going off to college has been declining for several years and will continue to decline. So the competition for students is intense, but your alma mater is succeeding well in that very competitive environment. There's financial and economic challenges with higher education. We constantly face challenges at meeting the financial needs of our students. Many of you have been very generous in your support of various endowed scholarships, of the annual fund, and other resources that help us meet the needs of those students, and I thank you for that, and I encourage you to continue to do that and provide that support. Still today, 40% of our students are first-generation students. They will be the first student in their family, the first person in their family to graduate with a college degree when they walk across that stage and I hand them the diploma. And we are proud of the programming and the support this institution provides to that kind of a student to help them get through those hurdles, those barriers to a degree. So I am thankful for your time, your attention, your love for your alma mater, and I'm just thrilled to be able to celebrate with you the honoring of quite a number of our outstanding alums this evening. So thank you.
Thanks, Troy. Appreciate that update. Now I'd like to move on to present our honorees. In keeping with tradition that began in 2011, we will be presenting each of our honorees tonight with a North Central College medal. First, we have our Wall of Witness Award. This honors graduates of North Central College or the Evangelical Theological Seminary who embody the values of our commitment to principled leadership, justice, and service. This year's honoree is the late Reverend Dr. Paul Stifler, class of 1950. Reverend Stifler served as a minister to a variety of congregations, several of them after starting his so-called retirement. He served on the college's alumni board for more than 10 years as chair of the Awards and Recognition Committee, the very committee that recommends that all of you be honored tonight. I had the honor of serving with Paul on the alumni board from 2002 to 2005, and it's a pleasure to recognize him this evening. He and his college sweetheart, Elsie Marshall Stifler, class of 1952, were married for 66 years, and both of their children graduated from North Central College. They were staunch supporters of the institution as members of the President's Club, and Elsie was not able to join us tonight, but we will be sending her Paul's Medal in his honor. But let's give Paul a round of applause. Next are our Alumni Recognition Awards, given to alumni who have graduated within the past 15 years, but are already standing out for success in their careers, community service, and support of North Central College. Our first recipient is Michelle Maves Del Genio, class of 2005. As I mentioned, Michelle couldn't make it here tonight, but let me tell you a little bit about her. Michelle started her own business called Take Note in New York City. Her company provides in-home music lessons and tutoring throughout her home state. On top of that, Michelle is an impressive singer in her own right. Many of you who have attended performances here on campus over the last 15 years probably have seen Michelle at some of those performances. She even performed the national anthem for both the Cubs and that other team on the other side of the city. They won the division, they're fine. Michelle wishes she could be here to celebrate with us tonight, but we will be sending her medal to her in New York. But let's give Michelle a round of applause as well. And now, next up, Alexandra Rios Taylor, class of 2007, who is widely recognized as an accomplished educator, a 3-time author, and a leader who truly loves her students. She met her husband, Gentry Taylor, class of 2006, as members of the Premier Scholars Program the summer before they started classes. Alex found her passion for studying abroad while she was a student, and she truly understands the importance of access and opportunity and how they can not only shape one's experience, but the trajectory of one's life. She and Gentry have been generous benefactors of students of color over the years through their scholarship, which helps next generation of North Central College students realize their dream to study abroad. It's my honor to recognize Alex with the Alumni Recognition Award. Congratulations, Alex. Let's give her another round of applause. And now we'll move on to our Outstanding Alumni Awards. These awards are presented to those who graduated more than 15 years ago, have excelled in their careers, while also demonstrated selfless service to their community and North Central College. First, let me introduce Dr. Carl Brooks, class of 1990. Over the course of 3 decades in higher education, he has earned a reputation for his commitment to empowering others through social justice and equity. And at the top of his long list of honors is yet another one. He married his college sweetheart, Shanitra Winters Brooks, class of 1991. On a personal note, Carl had a profound impact on my North Central experience and the trajectory of my career. As advisor to the Student Governing Association when I was student body president, and I can see him smiling, so I'm not going to look at him now, Carl instilled in me and in all of our students a sense of community and belonging, a realization that servant leadership is not a buzzword that you put on your resume, but rather a calling for one's life. And understanding that it's important to always speak and act with purpose and integrity. Carl, it's my honor to recognize you with an Outstanding Alumni Award. And next, we'd like to recognize Dr. Deborah Crown, class of 1981. Deborah is currently the Dean of the Crummer Graduate School of Business at Rollins College and is widely recognized for her research into organizational issues. She was attracted to North Central for its psychology program and its athletic opportunities, and to this day she credits the education she received here for giving her the confidence to work and succeed in sectors where there were no other women at the time. She's been featured everywhere from the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal to CNN and ABC National News. It's an honor to recognize Deborah with an Outstanding Alumni Award. It might be easier to tell you what our next honoree isn't rather than what he is. Dr. Dennis Gage, class of 1975, is a scientist, an entrepreneur, a car enthusiast, a magician. Are you a magician? You are a musician, also maybe a magician. But he is also an inspirational speaker who delivered our commencement address to the North Central College class of 2017. Where he also received an honorary doctorate degree from the college. And as far as I know, he's the only North Central alum who, as legend has it, has a distinctive handlebar mustache immortalized on the cans of a certain potato chip. It's my honor to recognize Dr. Dennis Gage with an Outstanding Alumni Award.
Never played a violin again.
Next, the Reverend William Wiley Kellerman, class of 1971, has been committed to nonviolent activism his whole life. He attributes the shaping of his vocation to the faculty and students and activities that he encountered during his time on campus. And the fact that we received so many nominations for Bill for the Outstanding Alumni Award is proof that one person really can touch countless lives and inspire them to take great action, whether it's the action of marching for civil rights or sending in a nomination for an Outstanding Alumni Award. It's my honor to recognize Bill Wiley Kellerman.
I've seen the trouble. Thank you.
Next is Dr. Robert Cohane, Shimer College class of 1961 and professor at Princeton University, he is a highly respected international affairs scholar. Bob has also been a generous and thoughtful trustee and leader for Shimer over the years, and his passion for Shimer and its new home at North Central College permeates every conversation with Shimerians and North Central College grads alike. In 2018, Bob received a North Central College Medal for his contributions to bringing the Shimer community to North Central. It's my honor to recognize him tonight with an Outstanding Alumni Award. Bob. Bob will get that medal to you right away. Next, we have Paul Rewerts, class of 1971, and Jackie Mochel Rewerts, class of 1972. The couple met here on campus and have been a part of students' lives ever since, through their scholarship fund and their many financial contributions to the institution, but also by offering a home to rent near campus for student athletes from our women's cross-country team. Paul and Jackie are life members of the President's Club, members of the Cornerstone Society, and above all, they're Cardinals through and through. You'll often see them cheering on students at our football games and other athletic events, but especially at cross-country meets near and far. It's my honor to recognize the Rewerts with an Outstanding Alumni Award.
Thank you so much. Watch that picture.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Absolutely. It's really hard to sum up the work of Lori Spiegel. Shimer College, class of 1967. She's a remarkable musical composer, an artist, an innovator, and even a wildlife rehabilitator. Her work was included on the record that was launched on the Voyager spacecraft, and she was one of the first women to compose a film soundtrack. Well respected by her colleagues in the music industry and a recent inductee into the National Women's Hall of Fame, Lori was one of the first Shimerians that I met, and she's attended every alumni gathering that we've had in Manhattan that we've hosted since Shimer joined our community. It's my privilege and honor to recognize Lori with an Outstanding Alumni Award. Lori and Bob, it's great to have you join us tonight. Next, John Stoles received his MBA from North Central in 1990. He's been a staunch supporter of our student veterans, offering both his resources and expertise to help them finish their degrees and succeed after graduation. As a veteran himself, he knows firsthand about the challenges involved in transitioning from military life to civilian life, and he's really gone above and beyond to help our students and veterans make that shift. He and his wife Karen have also made an estate gift to support our School of Business and Entrepreneurship. And as I said, John wasn't able to join us this evening, but we'll be sending him his medal, so let's give him a round of applause. And last but certainly not least, I want to introduce you to Yolander Wells Jr., class of 2000, and MBA class of 2005. Yolander recently joined Harvard University as its Deputy Athletic Director for External Operations and Relations. Yolander credits his athletic experience at North Central for much of the work that he does today. And I want to say from some of my own experience and some of my favorite North Central memories are of traveling with Yolander and his teammate Brian Lee and Norman Robinson, who was inducted into our Athletic Hall of Fame earlier today, traveling around the Midwest watching them play basketball. But one of my lasting memories of Yuli is his genuine care for others, his teammates, the fans, his family, and everyone who crosses his path. Yuli, the student athletes and colleagues that you have at Harvard are lucky to have you, but we know that you bleed cardinal red, not crimson. It's my honor to recognize Yolander Wells with an Outstanding Alumni Award.
Wash me in the water, cleanse me in the mercy of your love. I need a heavenly touch, 'cause I'll be backsliding. I need a little guiding for my soul. Only heaven knows, 'cause I just need a helping hand. It's gonna help me stand. It's gonna help me stand. 'Cause I just need a helping hand. It's gonna help me stand. It's gonna help me stand. 'Cause I just need a helping hand. It's gonna help me stand.
actually found North Central College through a friend. I was looking at lots of different musical theater programs all around the Midwest, and I found out that North Central College offered musical theater. I toured the campus, and I found it a really welcoming environment. The professors were amazing, seemed interested in individual students, and the college campus felt much more like home than anywhere else that I had seen so far. So I decided that North Central College was the right fit for me, and I'm so glad I did. That feeling of home definitely carried over and still exists for me today. I had a really amazing 4 years at North Central. I met some great friends who, I'm still friends with today, and got to participate in a ton of extracurriculars. Of course, theater was my main focus, so I was always involved in the shows, which were wonderful. Whether you were a lead or ensemble or working on the crew, it really became a family, and the theater department really felt that way. And a lot of places aren't like that. They're so competitive, so that was a wonderful part of attending North Central. But beyond theater, I got to explore other interests too. I actually double majored at North Central, and my classes were always challenging, always made me think, tons of reading, which I loved and still enjoy doing today. And so I really felt like it gave me the experience and the chance to become a very well-rounded person. And even though I was very, very involved in musical theater and the music and theater departments, I got to explore other interests too, and got to take classes that really shaped a lot of my understanding of the world today. I've been lucky enough to turn my passion for the arts, music, and theater into my career. I performed for many years through Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago. I'm also a teacher, and now I run my own company in New York City, and I still teach music and theater, but I also manage other instructors and help pass along that knowledge of what I've learned and what makes a successful educator to other teachers. My husband and I run Take Note lessons in New York City, and we work with many families who are looking for music lessons, acting lessons, and we also offer tutoring. So we continue to share the arts and share a love of learning with students throughout New York City, and now also through the world through remote lessons. The education that I received at North Central College certainly prepared me for my career path and also helped shape the person I am today. I feel that I learned so much academically, but also it helped make me a well-rounded individual in learning how to examine a text critically, how to develop your own opinions and your own beliefs, and look at that from a critical perspective was such a big part of what I learned at North Central. And of course, I also received an excellent music and theater education that I hopefully am helping to pass along to other students now through my own teaching. So thank you, North Central College.
I love North Central College. I had a very pleasant experience there. I can say that I initially thought I was going to go to UIC, downtown Chicago. My twin sister ended up knowing that she wanted to go to North Central. UIC, I remember there was a conflict. It just wasn't working out. And so I thought to myself, well, I could go to North Central. And I just thought, well, maybe I won't get like the full university experience. Boy, was I wrong. It was the best decision I ever made, which was to go to North Central. I ended up making tons of friends and getting involved and meeting faculty and staff that really allow you to have ownership in terms of decision making and programming and clubs and activities. So love North Central and couldn't have asked for a better institution to spend my 4 years of learning. North Central was where I met my husband. We met on day one of move-in, became friends, and just had a stable relationship throughout our undergraduate. So when I think of North Central, I think of family, home, community, connection, and ultimately love. I entered North Central in communications. The last semester of my sophomore year, I had to take this education class. And I thought, well, I just got to get it out of the way. Let me just take it now. And I did. I took it. I fell in love with working with students. I mean, when I say fell in love, I could not stop thinking about the students I was working with on a daily basis. I ended up going to my advisor second semester of my sophomore year saying, I need to add a major. I'm not going to take away from my current major. I still want to pursue communication, but I want to add Spanish as a major and then education as your secondary so I can teach. I am currently an assistant principal of student services at Glenbard East High School. Fantastic school. Love this community, love the students that we serve. Study abroad it changed my life. I got a call from someone named Barbara Knuckles. Never heard of her before, but she worked at the school. And she said, hey, there's a scholarship that applies to you. When I learned more, it was a scholarship for $2,500. And I was at the time a sophomore preparing for my junior year to study abroad in Costa Rica. And that scholarship was everything because I couldn't pay for studying abroad otherwise. It's something I wanted to do, but it didn't know if I would be able to do. And so when I was awarded that scholarship, it meant that I could actually go. I was able to intern in a Costa Rican school with students and then learn how the educational system worked over there. It started my passion for research, bilingual schooling systems, and then it led me to want to continue that work as a senior and then as an educator. I'm currently in a doctorate program right now at Aurora University, and all of that research application that I learned at North Central, I'm digging into right now. So that scholarship was just pivotal and paramount to my ability to grow as a professional. So now with my husband, we want to make sure that we're giving back to those same students who are in our position where they have potential, they have drive, but they don't necessarily have the means. So we created the same scholarship for the same amount of money, and we award it every year to students who wish to study abroad, but just need a little help to do so. My biggest mission is to provide access and opportunity for students. And so to know that I'm making that impact at my alma mater means the world to me. So I'm grateful that what we're doing is helping others. I'm grateful that I get to do what I love doing every single day in my own school. And I am grateful for whoever was the nominating board and deciding factor that I was chosen and awarded, and very much pleased. So thank you.
North Central was not remotely on my radar, to be very honest with you. And it just so happened that I had a day off of school, and there was a coach out at one point recruiting, talking about the CCIW conference that North Central is in, and invited me out on my day off to just kind of tour the campus and just see what North Central is all about. Because at that time we talked about playing one of the best conferences in the country for Division III. And honestly, I wasn't really looking at D3 schools, but I also was looking for a great education as well. So when I came out there, I kind of fell in love with the campus. I sat in a class, really enjoyed the interaction and engagement that I saw in the classroom, and connected with the coaches, as well as had an opportunity to get down to the gym and play a pickup game. And it just kind of felt a little bit like home for me. I majored in psychology and had a real interest in human development, and really got involved with a lot of activities on campus. And I think North Central really provided me an opportunity to grow and develop as an individual, kind of figure out why I'm here, what my talents are, what my contributions can possibly be, and just had some great individuals that invested time and effort in my development, which really just made a difference in my overall North Central experience, and really prepared me well for the life that I wanted to pursue. And I ended up pursuing education in a large part because of those individuals and the kind of environment that I experienced as a student, and knowing that that is something that I can have a great impact or influence on as a professional, whether it be teaching or administrating or otherwise. And so that kind of led me to my career, to be very honest with you. I have also the privilege of working at North Central as a part of my career. So I came back in 1995 to be the assistant dean and director of multicultural student affairs, and left there as the associate dean of campus life. So I had an opportunity to contribute to the very environment that supported my overall learning and development. I am proud and privileged to serve as the Vice President for Student Affairs at Oakton Community College. I have a large responsibility for a very large division of the college, which provides all of the what I call non-instructional services for students. I'm considered the Chief Student Services Officer of the college. So all of that means that I have a number of, administrative deans that report under my umbrella, and we have a number of critical functions that are here to support students in their ability to access and navigate the college and successfully persist and complete their goals while they're here. I'm a liberal arts baby, to be very honest. I think North Central did exactly what it was supposed to do for me as a learner. It taught me how to think. It provided an opportunity to consider the world and my place in it. And everybody should have the kind of experience I had at North Central College, the kind of instructors, the kind of coaches, the kind of administrators that invested in me and nurtured my overall development. I had a big impact. And frankly, it's why I chose the career that I chose in terms of higher education and student development, and the work that I do now had a huge impact on my overall life experiences. Also, I met my wife there too. So North Central will always have a great place in my heart. I've been married 29 years now to a wonderful life partner that graduated in 1991. So we have 2 kids, and one's in graduate school, one's in second year at University of Dayton. So very, very fortunate to have a lot of foundations that got established through North Central College.
I was looking for relatively small liberal arts schools. I was interested in majoring in psychology. And so that was just kind of looking at a set of schools. And I liked the element with the sports focus at North Central, as well as kind of the size. I was able to work with faculty on research projects as an undergraduate and things that set me up. One of the projects that I did for a class was looking at the opinions of the role of women in a variety of different places, including the military. And so I was able to take that work and do it, kind of carrying it forward. So when I left North Central, the plan was I would work for a year or 2, and then I would go ahead and get my PhD in clinical psychology. My dad's a psychiatrist, my mom's a social worker, so it was like the family business, if you will. And so I started my first job after college. It still amazes me that they hired me, because the other people they were hiring had a master's, or even some had a doctorate, and I'm just straight from college. But North Central trained me well. And so my first job, I was a milieu therapist, and I was quickly promoted to be the manager of the unit, even though I had not had a single business class. I knew a lot about psychology. I knew nothing about managing people. And so because I had the promotion, and because I think of my experience at North Central, it's teaching you how to learn and how to quickly understand what you know and what you don't know. And that's really when I made the pivot and started to really fall in love with management and business. And I'd always loved working in sports. So after that position, went and got my master's and my PhD while working for a consulting company. And then from there, thought I would go directly into industry, but I was working heavily at that point, sport and business, and they convinced me to go into higher education as a professor, which I thought maybe I'd do for 2 years. And all these years later, after, my first position was at University of Alabama. So when you like to blend business and sport, and I had the privilege of working with football, baseball, and basketball. I went from there to Ohio University, who has the #1 program in sport and business, and it's a sport management program, but helped pull that into the business school. So I was there, got recruited from there, where we were also working with fast growth startups, to a school in Silicon Valley. Loved that. I got recruited from there to go to Hawaii, and then from Hawaii Pacific University came to my current position at Cromer Graduate School of Business at Rollins College, which I love. It's a top 50 business school, and so it's fun. I did a huge veer, a very huge veer, and made choices and worked in sectors where there weren't any other females, and did things in ways that were non-traditional. And I really do think that North Central had a huge role in making me feel comfortable doing that, making me feel that of course, what my job was to make sure I'm fulfilling my obligation to, whether it's my organization or to a client, and to be thorough and passionate and persistent, and definitely look at novel solutions. And North Central did a good job of that.
You know, I'm just a small town country boy. And really, mine was the first generation that went to college. I started triple majoring in chemistry, physics, and math. And so, you know, I'm juggling kind of a 70s college, early 70s college social life with a triple major of chemistry, physics, and math. And it struck me that I actually had no idea what a chemist, a physicist, or a mathematician actually did. So I actually quit North Central after my sophomore year and took a job as a technician at Amical Chemicals in Naperville. I lasted 9 months there, and the main thing I learned was I do not want to be a technician. You know, it was clear to me that if you were going to be able to call the shots in science, especially chemistry, you had to have, well, not only a bachelor's, so it was going to have to be a PhD. So, you know, that drove me back to North Central, and I fortunately kept up taking, you know, a couple night courses and stuff, and so I didn't get really too far behind. I dropped the math major, slack dog that I am, and just went for chemistry and physics, and just those last 2 years, I still finished in 4 years elapsed time, 71 through 75, and 4.0'd my last 2 years. But I made the decision to go to graduate school, and I had also gotten into like cross-country skiing and winter camping and things like that, which were kind of odd. But I ended up choosing my schools based on someplace I could go and do and climb mountains. So I ended up out in the University of Idaho, and then I went right from grad school from the University of Idaho with a PhD to Procter & Gamble. After a couple of years, I actually moved out into product development, and I did most of their food products in the 80s. I'm one of the developers of Pringles, and it is urban legend that that's me on the can. So I would say, you know, I'm actually in the can. I'm not on the can. And then after 10 years there, I was made an offer I couldn't refuse to go be the director of global product development for a Bristol Myers Squibb company in Evansville, Indiana. I was actually in Bangkok, Thailand when I resigned. I said, I can't do this anymore. Called my lovely wife, told her I resigned. She was like, oh, well, that's interesting. But what had happened a year before that, while I was still doing the Bristol Myers product development thing, run into a guy that was creating this TV show about classic cars and stuff like that. And I've always been a car guy, a motorcycle guy. And he was like, well, you know, I'm really looking for a host. You seem to know a lot about cars. You're kind of a character. It's a hell of a mustache. The show is now, which is my classic car, Dennis Gage. It's in production for its 26th year. It's the longest running TV show of its kind in television history, U.S. television history. I'm inherently inquisitive, North Central really cultivated that in me, I think. At North Central, your mistakes and your missteps weren't necessarily terminal, and what you could do is you could actually, take those things and learn from them as part of the growth process. And so it's not like North Central sheltered me, but it was a shelter. It was this place it was a safe place to experiment. I mean, you could experiment with life.
I really grew up assuming I would go to North Central College. My grandparents had gone there and had an Evangelical United Brethren ministry, my uncle and aunt. My parents also pastoral families. So in a lot of ways it was church and family. At the same time, I was recruited by a number of Ivy League schools, including Harvard. And in the end, after a lot of turmoil and struggle, decided to go to North Central. I've never regretted that. Really grateful for the rigor and depth of my education there. I had a double major in sociology and religion. I think given the times, even now, in the fundamental questions as we face into any number of crises is, what does it mean to be human? How do we live humanly? And the liberal arts sort of bring a breadth and lots of openings onto that question, with both with critical thinking, but also with literature and art, avenues of creativity and imagination. I'd gone forward to altar calls and given my life to full-time Christian ministry when I was a kid. Movement work, which I was really being led into, really had a faith dimension to it. I think when I went to seminary at Union in New York City, I kind of thought I would have come out of there a community organizer with a theological perspective. And I actually ended up coming out of there into the pastorate. Early in my seminary days, I was very much a part of anti-war movement in New York City, as we had been at North Central. Anti-war work turned very much to a focus outside of Detroit on nuclear weapons, cruise missile, and long campaign of resistance, nonviolent resistance at a missile factory, and also SAC bases around Michigan, the Pentagon. Have done actually a good bit of jail time for those kind of actions. And then there was a certain point where that really shifted to kind of urban nonviolence, anti-handgun work being an early expression of that here in Detroit, where there are so many weapons. But then turning more recently to the Poor People's Campaign, which is a national movement for moral revival, going back to Dr. King's Poor People's Campaign in 67 and 68, as well as things supporting movement for Black Lives and police violence, which is actually pretty bad in Detroit. I write and teach, and in many ways my writing, both books and articles, tends to be related to supporting the work of faith and conscience. North Central was a place, a community, a context for hearing a call to ministry, or making choices for a deepening of identity. And And I credit faculty, students, and students, in some ways, students were the most influential fellow students in shaping my time there. So yeah, laid the groundwork.
Scheimer gave you a high school diploma after 1 year at Scheimer. So when I started Scheimer, I was almost 16. I wasn't quite 16. I graduated in 4 years. That was standard. I was 19 and a half. Nothing was given to you pre-cooked. You didn't start with the answer. You were trying to figure it out. When I became a social scientist, I was applying some of those lessons. I was trying to figure things out that were puzzling, and you think, well, how do you get evidence? What counts as evidence for something? What are the reasons for not believing what appears to be evidence? How should we go about testing that? All these things came up when I was 16, and natural sciences one. Well, I applied to Harvard and I got in. I wanted to study government. And so I applied to a number of institutions. And my parents had always held up, they went to Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, but they had always held up Harvard, my mother especially, as the ideal. Scheimer had prepared me to think critically about issues. And many of these others, including Harvard graduates, had basically learned some facts and some of what then passed for political science a la 1960, which wasn't much more than current affairs, frankly. So I discovered after a semester, I did well, that I was competitive. If people ask what I'm known for, there are two books which are particularly notable. One is called Power and Interdependence. It's a book with Joseph Nye, who is and was at Harvard. He's now emeritus. And it was, I think, fair to say, the first real exploration of what is now called globalization. The other book that I'm known for is called After Hegemony, Cooperation and Discord in the World Economy. It's the one I'm proudest of. I did derive a lot of satisfaction from the process, arduous though it was, of making sure that Scheimer became part of North Central. Because when you're an academic, you get satisfaction from a kind of very impersonal process. You have some ideas, you work them out, and you put them in a form of an article or a book. And then the recognition is that people pay attention. You get lots of citations, and people say, oh, that's interesting work, I can build on that. And that's the reward, but it's pretty impersonal. Most of the people who do that you don't know personally. And you can't say, look, I affected somebody else's life this way. Now, we haven't talked about teaching, but the way in which you do affect people's lives is by teaching. And that's why teaching has always been important. And teaching undergraduates, but especially for me, graduate students who become friends and I know throughout their careers. And Scheimer has something like that, because you had an impact on actual people's lives in a more direct way than you do by writing a book. So I think that's a sort of human sociability part of it, which is missing from the strict cloistered academic life, which is important for most of us as part of our lives in general. I think we also brought something of value to North Central, so I think it's serendipity in that way too. So I think we brought some really good people into North Central orbit. And the North Central administration has been fabulous. They were very supportive throughout the process, much more than I would have ever expected. What's especially nice is for Scheimer to be recognized. I've had various recognitions. I probably had more than I deserved, I think. So that's not so important. It's recognizing the contribution that Scheimer has made to my career and also in general to North Central. That's especially meaningful.
In those days, the freshman boys lived at Craylor South and the freshman girls lived at Craylor North. And I was visiting the house mother at Craylor North, Mom Ritz, and I saw, when I was there, I saw Jackie walk by, and I asked Mom Ritz who she was, because Jackie started, her first semester was a second semester. I asked her for a date. She could not go because she was going home for the weekend, but we ended up going out the next weekend.
I wasn't making up that story about going home. I was really going home for a niece's birthday party. And he came back the next week and asked me out again. So I was very happy that he was persistent. I was elementary education.
And I was math education. Al Carius and I were freshmen at the same time. He was a freshman teacher, and I was a freshman student in 1966. And he's remained, a close friend of ours throughout the years. I was a tennis player. In the fall and the winter, I ran cross country just as a conditioner to play tennis in the spring.
I played tennis for Cleo Tanner, and I wasn't a great tennis player, but I was able to get on the team because she needed bodies. And I know if I had gone to a big school, I would have just been lost in the crowd and never had an opportunity to play tennis. Paul was a tennis player, as he mentioned, and he was a much better player, and we played a lot of tennis together and since.
So I taught 8 years in the Harlem School District in Loves Park. And then in 1979, we moved back to Naperville, and I taught for 22 years in Downers Grove High School District 99.
And I started working for an insurance company in Oak Brook, and I worked for them for 31 years. I enjoyed it, good company, but I never got back to teaching. But I had a wonderful career with FM Global for 31 years. So I was very fortunate to find a good employer.
Well, the house next door to us came up for sale, and we bought the house. And my mother lived there for 5 years. And when she moved to the nursing home, the house was vacant. So I had the idea that we could rent to North Central students. And it just worked out really well for us. The kids were great. And our goal was to help them get through college a little less, save a little money. That house and lot is we are donating that to the college. So that's part of our estate gift. We have established a scholarship fund that we've put money in over the years.
We enjoy time with our friends, family, and North Central. So it's all good. We've been very fortunate and blessed in our lives.
And that's one of the things we like about North Central, the liberal arts approach, the fact that not only does it prepare you for perhaps different jobs and so forth, but there's a lot more to life than working. There's a difference between existing and living. And I know of people whose entire life is their job, and that's it. And they're very narrow that way. And the liberal arts education hopefully spreads it out a little bit more and makes you a better citizen. One of the reasons why we like the liberal arts philosophy.
I was having a hard time at home with arguments with my father and all that kind of stuff, and things were tense. And I had been taking mostly advanced placement, senior level classes when I was a junior anyway, and it just didn't seem worth sticking around for that extra year. And I happened upon this little tiny article in one of the Chicago papers about this college called Scheimer that would take you really based on an interview and your college board scores, which mine were pretty high, without finishing high school. I went to my father, who I'd been arguing with, and said, how about if I wasn't here next year and I left and went to college? And he said, oh, that's probably a good idea. I said, well, then sign here, because I was underage. And it was just luck. And it turned out to be just the ideal place for me. Each person was an individual and was really taken as an individual. And the curriculum was quite rigorous, but because we all were really curious and we loved learning and we loved discussing stuff, I majored in social sciences at Scheimer. I played guitar and banjo starting mostly in my teens, mandolin when I was younger because my grandmother from Lithuania played mandolin and she gave me one when I was, I don't know, maybe 4th grade. So after I took my Scheimer year in Oxford and did an independent study over there that was abstract enough that I dare not even go into it, I came back and I moved back to New York. And I got very involved in political activism here in New York initially, but it was just not possible to make change politically the way I had hoped. So I realized that maybe the best way to make things better in the world would be just one person at a time. If I could make music that would make it feel better to be alive, just make it feel better to be alive for people. Music just did something for me. I just loved being in the process of making music. And after my first year in New York, long story short, managed to end up studying at Juilliard, studying composition. And I also got exposed to the first synthesizer I ever met. And I was essentially like working as a composer and active in the downtown music scene. I reached a point with the analog synthesizers where I got frustrated with their limitations, and I knew about what they were doing with computers and audio and music out at Bell Telephone Labs. So I asked if I could somehow do work there, and long story short, yes. So I worked for 7 years out at Bell Telephone Labs in the acoustic research department, and did a bunch of music, some of which is now still available on my album, The Expanding Universe. The intersection of the arts and technology was just absolutely fascinating area to work in. And I did stuff in visual art and video as well as in music. The computer, I realized, was sort of a Rosetta Stone among the arts. If you learned how to use computers to do music, you could also use them to do images. You could use them for writing. You could do them, it really, the computer brought together the technological means of working in all of the arts across the spectrum of them. Animals and music are like my 2 main loves in life. In addition to the music stuff, I'm a licensed wildlife rehabilitator. I can't imagine what would have become of me if I hadn't lucked out and seen that little tiny article about Scheimer that said that you didn't have to finish high school. It totally changed my life. It gave me permission to be myself and do my own thing, and that it was not only tolerated to think my own thoughts, but encouraged. And it really let me be myself.
In 1988, my wife and I actually got a dual transfer to the Chicago area. And as we transited there, we ended up buying a home in Wheaton. I have had a very eclectic career up until that point. I started in operations, worked my way out of operations into marketing and sales. And my undergraduate degree is actually in human resource management and organizational development. So that left a hole, if you will, in my career and experience. And I was looking for a vehicle to close that gap, if you will. And North Central came on the radar since we were living in Wheaton. It's not very far away in Naperville. So I investigated it and decided to attend there. It was an interesting time because I was working 70-hour weeks as well as getting a master's degree. Dr. Whitaker was a financial professor, and the basis of my master's degree is finance, and so he was very influential. What I liked about Andy was that he had spent time in industry as well, so he wasn't as sterile as a lot of academics can be. He had the practical experience, and what he did as part of his classwork was he would put those kind of hiccups in whatever kind of assignment he was giving you so you could learn where the pitfalls might be and what you were doing going forward. I was able to take the experiences that I had and then wrap them around the education I was getting at North Central, and it helped me more clearly define what I wanted to do at that point. And again, the mentorship from people like Andy Whitaker helped formulate that as well. So yes, it did. It certainly did. I would not have had the success, I don't believe, that I had if I had not done the North Central piece to my total package. There was a long period of time where Karen and I were away from the university. We were in different locations around the country, did come back to Chicago after we spent some time in Houston. But it wasn't until we got back to Colorado in 2000 that Brandon Hoft actually contacted me and asked me if there was some way that I would be interested in helping the school. I'm a veteran. My passions are veterans and education. He introduced me to Julie Cavallo, and we developed a scholarship. My wife and I developed a scholarship for veteran students, I should say, so that they can continue their education if they run out of GI Bill funds to do that. And if for some reason that scholarship isn't used for a veteran, my wife's wish was that it be used for a first-generation student. When one leaves the service, if you've never done that, it is a scary world. You're coming out of an environment that not too many people know about, and so you have to be able to change your nomenclature and change your experience into those things that people understand that have never experienced them. And so North Central has allowed that to happen, and I think that's a wonderful thing that North Central is doing. What we do, we just do because it's within our value system, it's within our belief system, it's how we believe we should be paying back. So then to be recognized for that is really kind of a surprise, because that's certainly not what you're looking for and not what you're expecting. All the warmth in that, if you will, is just watching other people be able to succeed and hopefully help them along the way.
My cousin, Kevin Payne, who's an alum of North Central College, was also a football student athlete there. He was really the driving force for the reason why I decided to go to North Central College. One of the things that I do appreciate about my experience at North Central is that I was able to do a myriad of things. I was a student athlete, basketball and track and field. I was part of the Black Student Association. I was also able to just have some fun while I was there on campus and become a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And so for me, that experience of being able to do a lot of different things while on the campus was important. I do not, to this day, like to just be pigeonholed into one spot. And so that was extremely helpful being at a liberal arts school. Being able to take different classes that did not even meet kind of the major initially, right? So you get a chance to experience some different things from an academic setting. And so that drives my career right now as a higher education administrator in intercollegiate athletics. It helps me think through exactly how I want the experience to be for the young people I serve at the universities that I've worked at. It also helps me think through how I would like my sons, the three of them, to possibly experience higher education so that they can have a robust experience in learning and competing, hopefully, if they have that type of opportunity. Athletics has played a big role in my life, and I wasn't quite ready to let that go. And I had an opportunity to assistant coach right after I graduated. And that really drove me to stay back, do my MBA there while I was assistant coaching. I was also working full time, and North Central had a very flexible program so that I could work and could go to school. And so that was helpful because I just did the evening classes. And I wasn't ready to let go of the experience of being, in college and learning and being around North Central. I still had friends that were in their final years of school at North Central College. Knew people that lived out there in Naperville. And, the basketball coaching piece was really just an opportunity that I had to take advantage of. I love sports. I love the game of basketball. I think sport does so much for all of us. It's part of the reason why I'm in it to this day. And so that is really what kind of got me to do my MBA and stay back at North Central and be a double cardinal. I was fortunate enough to be dating a young woman who is now my wife Janelle, and she also has passion for athletics. She was a student athlete in college, and she was the one who got my brain really thinking about moving into this space. She wanted to go back to school, and she wound up pursuing her PhD. But we both wound up going into higher education. And then now here at Harvard University, it's been a month and a half that I've been in place now. And, I'm the deputy athletics director, but a lot of my role and responsibility is around our external engagement and external operations. My collegiate experience, particularly as a student athlete, has shaped my professional experience and shaped my thought process on how I engage with students and how I want to see them embrace the collegiate experience, particularly student athletes. North Central is the place that I grew and developed. It's the great place that I've developed great friendships and relationships. And it's the place that helped me get to where I am today.